Welcome back, everybody. We are the Offside Zone. I'm Richie, your host. We are back with the crew. We got Sam, Toby, Cliff, and Kelvin. This will be episode 12. It's been quite an eventful week in the Champions League and also the Premier League. We're going to get started with some Premier League news. This will lead us into the first question of with the recent run of form, are Arsenal showing again that they are just not good enough to win the league title? Since Arsenal is Toby's team, we're going to let him start first.
Let's see. Um, I think that question is pretty wild, if I'm being honest with you. In regards to showing again they are not good enough to win the league title, I think in the last 7 years, it's been a two-horse race, arguably a two-horse race between Liverpool and Man City, anyways. So realistically, everybody else in terms of clubs outside of Liverpool and Man City haven't realistically had a chance to actually win the Prem or even gotten close to those two. Um, so I don't know about showing it again. I think this is probably the first year or between this year and last year that we've really, I would say, put our money into the transfer market enough to the degree where we could sit there and say, hey, they should be challenging for different fronts. I mean, different fronts in terms of titles. So, yeah, I don't necessarily think that this is us showing that we can't win a title again. If anything, I would say this is great progress, great work. And I would actually say it's very bright for the future, considering how young the players are, considering this is one of the first times where in two consecutive transfer windows, we've actually spent a good reasonable amount of money to improve the squad compared to everybody else who are spending millions and millions of dollars. So if this is our first measurement of actually trying to win league titles or challenging for championships like that, I'm fine with it because just know this team is going to get better than this as the more investment goes into the squad. So, yeah.
All right. Before we got this podcast started, there's a little, back and forth going between Toby and Kelvin. So I'm gonna let Kelvin get his thoughts out next.
What was the question again? My bad. Just repeat it one more time.
So pretty much with Arsenal's recent form, are they showing that, again, that they aren't good enough to win the league title?
Uh, I mean, personally, I've never believed that they were gonna win the league title this season, just because I just feel Arsenal as a club, they're just not serious enough. And if we look, I mean, Toby mentioned like they've dug in and they spent some money, and that's where they're at now. And like if you look at their January transfer window, like the few games they've just lost, I promise you, if they actually got Felix, Mudrik, or added Caicedo, like if the club actually showed ambition, because the players were there to be taken, and how Chelsea 10th place Chelsea managed to convince those players to join us. I don't know, but like that, their ambition as a club, they just don't show from like Caicedo was there to be bought. They just didn't want to pay the money. Pay the money, you get Caicedo. You always Arsenal fans know that Partey is gonna get hurt, right? It's a known thing. Not now he's hurt. If you had Caicedo slots right in, but now you have to settle for Jorginho, which is cool, and he might work out. But I promise you, you guys wanted Caicedo. So like this was Arsenal's chance. Like the past few years, they have not been serious. Like Banner FC, they finally put themselves in a good position. You know what I'm saying? Like do something in the transfer window to push the team, like push City, and like they did. We'll see what comes of it, but I don't think they did enough. Like they could have shown more ambition as a club, and that's just where they've been for like the past 20 years. I just don't take them as a club seriously till they show me that that they can win. So if they win this league title, cool. Now I can start to take you more seriously. But till then, I don't buy it. I don't believe it. So yeah, that's just my take on it, because they're just not serious as a club. Whether it's their owners, their recruitment, because how we got Felix, he would have helped in that game. Mudryk would have helped you in that game. Caicedo would have helped you in that game. But they want to brag about, oh, we don't spend money and Chelsea's spending blah blah blah. Let's be real. Yes, 600 million, but all those signings, most of them have not played 10 plus games. The only ones are probably Koulibaly and Cucurella and Sterling. 3 out of how many signings? So yeah, you can say that, oh, you spend this much money and you're still intent, but realistically, we're still building, and we're gonna come good again. And when that happens,
What?
Any response to that, Toby?
Yeah, that's utter BS, man. Cause I mean, honestly, Chelsea's spending is a testament to show you how kind of warped our outlook on what ambition really is. Because when you look at teams that spend money like Man City and Chelsea, they're not doing it in a clean way. They're doing it in a very rigged way that causes backlash, where everybody else in the league looks at them and says they're breaking rules. So it's not like you guys are doing it in a fair, honest, ambitious, noble way. You guys are literally just paying players more money, than astronomical more money than other teams would offer. So I wouldn't necessarily fault that for Arsenal, because as you can see, the FFP allegations are lining up, and at some point that will catch up to everybody that's participating in getting players like that. Um, but yeah, I think Arsenal should be taken even more seriously in the fact that, yeah, we just dipped into the transfer market realistically, and we're already challenging for the league. When you, like I said, if you look at the track record of who's been the most dominant in the last 7 years, it's between Liverpool and Man City. And both of them have broken transfer records in terms of individual signings throughout those 7 years. Now, if you give a young Arsenal team that's already loaded in terms of future with that type of spending power, and just getting the ability to get players like that, I think that we have the world at our feet. And then you mentioned Caicedo, as if like Chelsea didn't bid on them earlier and we bid more. Brighton just wasn't letting that brother go, and I'm gonna leave it at that in terms of trying to get him. As far as Mudryk and stuff like that, I think it actually worked out in our favor, because Trossard has already scored twice. Like, Mudryk has literally had games where the coach had to make an excuse for him that he had a cold. So, and if we're looking at it realistically, Martinelli was always going to be our number one guy, whether Mudryk was there or not. So we wanted somebody to come in and really challenge Martinelli so we could get the best out of him. And right now, I think it's working out in terms of Trossard as an individual. But obviously, I would have definitely wanted to get a Caicedo, but that's not. I don't think the Arsenal board didn't try to get him. They definitely did. It's just Brighton was not going like that.
All I'm gonna say was, if Chelsea wanted Caicedo, we would have got him.
That's cap though. Yeah,
That's not cap.
yeah.
What happened with Enzo? Oh, Enzo's not leaving. Blah, blah. Did we not get Enzo?
That's not Caicedo though.
Okay. Anyways, the Mudryk allegations. You guys wanted Mudryk. There's plenty of compilations of welcome to Arsenal Mudryk. They put him in an Arsenal jersey. Like, a whole fan base wanted that guy. That guy hasn't played football because their season ended like way before the World Cup. So he hasn't played or trained in about 3 months. So that's why we're slowly easing him into the team. So his first game, he got subbed off at halftime. He hasn't played over 70 minutes in any of the games he's played. And it's not because he sucks. It's more of a fitness thing. they're gradually doing it. So I mean, from the outside looking at it, because I don't expect you to know much about Chelsea. That's what it may seem. But yes, you would rather have Mudryk. Talking about the future build, Trossard will be 30 next year. Mudryk is what, like 22. He has way more upside than Trossard. Like let's be real. Trossard has scored 2 goals. You've also had 0 points or 1 point. Chelsea has more points than you since you got Trossard. So okay, Martinelli is not playing well. So you definitely need an upgrade there, not just for now, but also for the future, like for them to compete. And Mudryk was your guy, bro, and you guys blew it. And again about Chelsea breaking FFP, that's Man City. Nothing to do with Chelsea. People say loopholes, blah blah blah. It's not a loophole. Literally just extending their contracts and paying the fee over the years. People have gotten long-term contracts before. This is nothing new. Kepa got a 7-year contract. People in the past have signed like 10-year contracts, 8-year contracts. It is nothing new. You can go look it up. Chelsea isn't doing anything new. You guys are not you guys. Toby's just a hater, man. Like they just see the money. Their board can't spend that kind of money. So now it's FFP. Chelsea's cheating. What allegations? What have we cheated on? How have we cheated? Talking about we just throw money at players. Chelsea and Arsenal had the same payment structure. Same amount of money. Our payment structure was just better. That's why we got the player. If you wanted him, you could have fixed it up.
That
goes back to the ambition. It's not about just spending money, and teams are getting better. Your ability to attract players, it's not there right now. Like compared to a Chelsea, Man United is coming back. There are talks of them getting new owners. Like the better players are gonna want to go to Man U over Arsenal, and we've already shown that we can attract some players over you, even though you were in first and we were in 10th. So you also got to factor that in. Like soccer, it's not like basketball where let's draft, build the youth. Nah, you got to invest money. You got to buy the best players that you can, and you guys have been failing at that over years. This isn't the first time you've been failing at it and buying Chelsea rejects. Still.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, right, let's get the facts out there. You talk about pay structure is better. That's literally keywords to literally say that you're paying the player more. That's literally what I said. You are literally paying Mudryk as an individual more.
Again, I said, the same amount of money was offered to the club. How money was getting paid, the structure was different. At the end of the day, we were both offering to pay the same amount of money. How we were going to pay the money was different, and they liked ours better. Mudryk also is only on like 90K. That's the salary. About the same thing that you were going to offer him. So
that's not true.
That's also the facts. Okay.
That's not true.
So
yeah.
So we're gonna move on. We're gonna let Toby get his last bit out, and then we're gonna move on.
Anyways, that's not true. Mudryk was getting paid astronomically, or is getting offered astronomically more than what we were ready to pay him. As far as the club, you talk about pay structure. You guys paid the Shakhtar people up front way more than we were ready to pay as well. And then you talk about Trossard, and like I said, our future investment is Martinelli. We want to give him competition so that he can be better and be the premier guy that we look to on that wing. So yes, Mudryk has more upscale because he's younger, but at the end of the day, we still accomplished what we settled out to go into the transfer market to get. Because at the end of the day, Trossard is producing as an individual. All I'm pointing out is Mudryk has not produced yet, and you guys spent 80 million more to get him. So with that being said, yes, you guys do pay players astronomically more. And let me get it out there. Another fact. Chelsea is one of the teams in the Premier League to actually have been convicted of a FFP violation. So for you saying that you have nothing to do with FFP is a lie. They're coming at your door. They're letting
Which
Let me
FFP
finish. Let me
violation?
let me let me.
Not because that's a lie. Because I know we're talking about
Did y'all
when we
not
had a
get
transfer
banned?
ban. It had
Did
nothing to
y'all
do
not
with
get a transfer
FFP.
ban?
It was because of how we signed Gail Kakuta, not FFP. That's it.
All how you signed Gail Kakuta, all of that
It
falls
has
under
to.
FFP.
No. It had nothing to do with the finances of Chelsea.
Yes, it does.
It
All
had
of
to
that.
do with breaking a rule around signing the recruitment of a player.
Who are the embodying body that literally governs that? It's literally the people from UEFA. You guys have a UEFA
So the
violation.
whole of UEFA is FFP.
No, but that is a department in UEFA, and you guys violated one of their rules. That's the point. That's why you got to
That
transfer.
literally makes no sense. So
It makes
you're
sense.
saying violated a different department's code, but not the FFP one. But the FFP is part of that. So it's FFP. That makes no sense.
There is a UEFA is a governing body. They have departments. You guys broke a rule inside a specific department that's ran by the FFP people in UEFA. You guys are the ones, and the point is still there anyways. Even if you want to argue who's the person, the point is y'all broke embodying governing body's rule.
Yeah,
And
not FFP.
you,
That's what you need to clarify because those are two different
I
things. That's
it's
all I'm saying. We didn't break.
it's FFP.
Yes, we broke
I'm literally
rules. We didn't break FFP. That's it. That's simple.
It's FFP, bro.
It's not FFP.
Oh, you want to continue? It's FFP. It's FFP. I'm literally giving it to you so that you can still understand what the actual premise I'm saying, which is the fact that you guys are one of the only clubs that's actually broken a rule and gotten bagged in the past for doing something in terms of the transfer market. So if that's being said, why do you think that FFP that are clamming down on Man City now isn't going to look at you guys? The point is, at the end of the day, your club astronomically pays other clubs more money to get their players. It's not necessarily about attraction, whatever the case may be. It's about how much you guys are paying these players and their clubs. That's why y'all got these players. Mudryk is a prime example. And I'm not mad at it because instead of sitting on our horses and not doing anything, we went out there and got Trossard and fulfilled what we wanted to do because our investment at the end of the day are already on the team. Saka and Martinelli are going to be a staple on that Arsenal team for the future. We just wanted to get them somebody in so that they can have competition. The only person I'm disappointed that we didn't get is Caicedo, and I'm not mad at Arsenal for that. I'm mad at Brighton because Brighton, at the end of the day, they didn't want to let him go in regards to anything, whether we offered them 100 mil or whatever the case may be, because we did our best with that, and you guys even tried to get them as well. So back to the actual question. With that being said, we still have the best record in the league. We still have a game in hand, and the season isn't over yet. Chelsea, again, by next Tuesday or the Tuesday after that, halfway through the season, they probably will have nothing to be cheering for the rest of the season and still have spent $400 million to get there. And the summertime, when other teams also recoup and try to reinvigorate, reincorporate new signings into their team, they're going to get better as well. And you guys are not doing well at the same time that Arsenal hasn't as just stepped their foot into the transfer market. So our future is bright. So I'm not mad. That's what I'm saying. Our future is too bright to not be mad.
All right,
Chelsea's future is brighter, and I'm not mad either.
Let's get
Yeah.
Sam and Cliff's opinion on it. So I'm gonna repeat the question. With the recent run of form of Arsenal, are they showing again that they are not good enough to win the league title? We're gonna let Sam start first.
Yeah, I heard the arguments by Toby and Calvin. I think the argument that Toby gives for the spending that Arsenal has or has not been doing over the years is kind of a cop out though, because I don't think that you necessarily have to spend that much to compete, especially over the last, I think, maybe 18, 19 years that Arsenal hasn't won a Premier League title. Arsenal hasn't won since 2004. So in that time, you've seen clubs like Leicester win the Premier League. You've seen more than Liverpool and Man City. Um, And Arsenal had a better team than, I would say, Leicester. I think they've been a better team than Leicester over the years, and Leicester was able to win the Premier League. So like I don't think it's an excuse to say because we didn't spend as much than as much as a Man City or a Chelsea, that's why we couldn't win the EPL title. They could have won the EPL title. There were years where Arsenal was actually competing for the title, but then somewhere along the line they fell off. I don't know the exact year, but I know there was a few years that they were maybe top 2 by January,
The
February.
year Leicester won.
You're like they were
Yeah,
second.
so they had the opportunities to compete for titles. It's not about the money. It's just about the club, and that club just hasn't had that. I don't know what you want to call it, but they just haven't had that drive to finish out the title at the top. That's just. I mean, you can laugh, but the reality, I haven't won a title since 2004.
Right.
That's a
Y'all
long
be,
time, you know. So like,
I'm just y'all be coming on here not saying any facts whatsoever. You
I'm
said
not mad.
y'all said Leicester City won the league as if that is a standard for the league. Look at
Yeah.
the last 20 years, right? The three teams that have dominated the league have a player that they've broken the record, the British transfer record for in the top 10. That's Man City, that's Man U, and Liverpool. That's my
That's
point.
that's
Those are the
cool
teams that
though.
have dominated, and Chelsea. And if I
That's
add Chelsea in there, those are the four teams that have dominated the last 20 years. You're talking about a one season, and that
Mhm.
same season where Leicester literally are the ones that won the thing, where it was a Cinderella story for them. We will never see that again. And you're using that as a standard to say
No, I'm
that
using.
Arsenal could have won the league.
Yeah, I'm using it as an example because if Leicester could have won the league, what I'm saying is that Arsenal could have won the league.
How many years? How many years could Leicester
It doesn't
realistically have
matter.
won the
The
league?
point is that Arsenal hasn't won the league in 20 years. That's what I'm
How many?
saying.
How
They
many
haven't
people?
won a league in 20 years. Why couldn't they have a Cinderella story?
How many people
That's my
outside?
argument.
How many people outside of that four teams have won the league in the last 20 years?
That's not the point.
That's my point.
If Leicester can win the EPL, Arsenal should be able to win the EPL.
They have a literally. If you look at the calculations, they have literally a 1%, 5% chance to win the league.
I'm
That's
not
my
talking,
point.
I'm
They're
not
not.
talking about
They're
chance.
not
You're
a
talking about ESPN
The whole
SPI
point.
percentages. I'm not talking about that.
I'm
talking
not. I'm just
about
telling you the
the
truth.
fact that I'm talking. But Leicester won the league though. Why
That's
can't
not a
Arsenal
standard
win
you
the
can
league?
use if the rest of the 19 years Leicester is nowhere close to winning the league. It's a
It
Cinderella
don't have to
story.
be a standard to set an example though.
But you're saying opportunities as if every year we had an opportunity to win the league. That's my
No,
point.
I'm saying at least 1 year, yeah, I had the opportunity. But
One year. 1 year out of 20. How is that a good standard to show that we've had opportunities to win the league?
Because you've had teams that can win the league.
Y'all have had teams
Definitely
that
in the
can win the league.
past, you've hyped up your team. Oh, we're gonna win the league this year. You can look on.
We've had what teams compared to Chelsea, compared to Man U, Liverpool, and Man City? What teams?
Your Van Persie teams were good. The teams with Fabregas. Were you guys not good?
They were a decent team, but they're not
Okay,
any.
that's over the past 20 years.
They were a decent. Are you gonna let me finish? They were a decent team, but when you look down at the breakdown and how much individuals cost on each team, they were nowhere close.
We're
You're
not
talking.
talking about
You're
that.
talking about academy players that went through the whole thing. Van Persie that you're talking about literally left us. Literally left us to join a richer team to go win the league. That's my point.
So
Like,
are you trying to say you've never over the past 20 years, Arsenal has never had a team that could have won the league?
before 2014, before 2013, our biggest signing was no, let me finish. Before 2013, our biggest signing was $27 million. After Henri left, we have not signed anybody that is worth more than $65 million. The only person after the biggest signing we had in 2013 was Mesut Ozil at 43 million. You know, that same year, Gareth Bale was bought for 100 million. That's my point. Those are the type of players that Chelsea, Man U, Liverpool, and Man City have went out. Those are the caliber type players that they've went out and spent astronomical amount of money to go buy because they make a difference. And
Yeah,
that's my
but
point.
you keep on using the spending on the market as an
You
excuse.
spent money.
It's
I'm
not
sorry.
excuse, it's
You
a
bought
factor.
five
Answer the
players.
question. You have to answer the question. Has Arsenal had a team that was capable of winning the Premier League?
Compared to those four teams,
Yes.
compared to those four teams every year that they've won the league, no.
That's a lie.
They've had decent squad. They've had decent squads, but they're not anywhere close in terms of the individuals that are on those teams that's won every year. That's what I'm telling you.
Let's get Cliff's opinion, and then we're gonna move on.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of derailed the question here because the question was about Arsenal showing that they can hold their own against Man City for the league title, and honestly, I think the game against Man City showed that they deserve to be in the conversation. Um, when we talk about the transfer window, though, the one gripe I had with Arsenal was that they didn't have enough depth. And I think the game against Man City also showed that they weren't as deep as Man City. Um, when they could take off, who was it? They took off on the Mahrez. They took off Mahrez, and then they brought on Akanji, and Mahrez and Bernardo Silva went to the right wing. I feel like that was what gave Man City the edge. And when you talk about depth, it's not only having cover for when a player goes down. It's also giving you a plan B, which I think Arsenal didn't really have in that game. They didn't have that second look, that player that can come off and give them that spark. And I feel like that's why Man City has the edge over them because they can bring in someone like, Akanji, they can bring in Bernardo Silva, they can bring in Phil Foden, different looks and different players. They can leave KDB on the bench if they want to and be fine. They can bring in Julian Alvarez, all these different types of players that give them a different look that can help them solve a problem if they're having a problem on the pitch. And that's why I feel like Man City are going to win the league. But in terms of the spending, I think Toby is right because them spending in January shows that they have intention, right? They didn't really deep too much in their pockets in the summer. But you see, when they got to January, we started hearing more talks about Mudryk. We started hearing more talks about Caicedo. And the special thing about that is when they didn't get Mudryk, they went and got Trossard. When they didn't get Caicedo, they went and got Jorginho. It shows intention that they actually put in effort to win the league this year. And you can only expect more from that in the summer. So that's why I feel like Arsenal is not going to win the league because Man City is just so deep and so talented. But it does bode well for the future that they can, do something next year and compete for a league probably in the future when players like Saka and Martinelli and the likes get better.
All right, so Holland, he did play that game. He did snatch a goal, and he's continuing his goal scoring dominance. So pretty much our next question is: can Holland ever reach the goal scoring heights of Messi and Ronaldo? I'm gonna let Cliff start with this one.
I think you just got to say yes based on what's happening already. At this rate, Haaland has, I think, the fourth most or the fifth most goals per game ratio behind. Sorry, I think he has more. I think he has more of a goals to game ratio. I think only behind Messi. I got to check that, but the way Haaland is scoring goals, the goals per game ratio is just crazy, and he's on track to beat the record at the age of 22. That is mad, and just think about how better he's gonna get with that Man City squad. It's looking deadly. The only thing that you could say is he might not beat Messi's 90 goals a year scoring title, but I mean, he's just scoring so many goals now. So I think he will be in the likes. He'll be in the heights of the goal scoring talent of Messi and Ronaldo. Not the actual talent, but the goal scoring output is going to be up there.
All right, Toby.
I have to agree with that. Yeah, I think if he stays healthy, it's kind of all dependent on that. Because like I said, he's in the best situation that he can ever be in, and obviously he's still young as well, and he's already doing this at this age, so he could only get better in terms of at least what he's good at, which is scoring goals. That's his specialty. That's his superpower. So, I don't think he would eclipse Messi, um Messi's dominance in terms of like ratio efficiency and the 91 calendar year goals. I don't think that will ever be done again. But I think he will be up there with the Messis and Ronaldos in terms of the frequency and the amount of goals that he could eclipse if he does play a large number of games.
All right, Calvin.
Uh, yeah, I agree. If he stays healthy, yeah, for sure, he's gonna break records. Everybody's record. On pace right now for his age at 22. Compare him to any other striker in history, whoever you want, R9, name it, at his age, most goals above anybody. So if he continues that, then yeah, I think he's gonna break naturally. He's just gonna kill it. It's just about can he stay fit? That would be the key for him. But barring that, yeah.
All right, Sam.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with everybody else. It's really going to come down to fitness for Holland at this point. Like you've seen in his first season in the EPL, I think he's already close to breaking the record. So he's only going to go up from here. His numbers are only going to increase from this point on. I do think he's going to actually break a lot of records that Messi and Ronaldo have set. Maybe not all of them, but he's going to break some of them. He's going to be up there for sure.
So now let's move on to the Champions League, and PSG faced Bayern, and just seemed like PSG couldn't get it done. This is where the question comes in, and what is wrong with PSG when it comes to the UEFA Champions League? Toby, I'm gonna let you start.
Um, I think PSG they just running out of fuel. Um, I think all the drama that's been happening this season is finally caught up to them. Especially when you see that injuries are also playing a part now, and the jet lag from the World Cup is coming into play as well, and you don't necessarily see the ambition um, that you would normally see from them in terms of the Champions League and pushing to win. So I would say that the problem with PSG is just kind of finding like new energy, like new form energy in order to actually participate in the Champions League and actually go out there and think they could beat a Bayern because they need it. You see Neymar trying, but you see Messi not doing anything. And then when Mbappe steps into the team, it's like a whole completely different ball game. But as far as like the overall team is the congruency is not there. They just look like a team full of individuals and they just not working for each other. I'm gonna just call it spade a spade. It looks like they just don't care. They just don't care at the moment. So yeah.
All right, Sam.
Yeah, I think it boils down to how they've kind of structured the team. I don't think they've structured it well. I don't think the sporting directors have organized the team in a way that is going to be successful in a competition like the Champions League because you can't just rely on three players up top to win a competition like that. You need midfielders, you need defenders, and you need them at a high level. I think one of the biggest problems with PSG is they're going to have to get rid of probably Neymar and probably Messi as well because you saw that Mbappe is the best player on that team. He makes that team click. He changes the whole format of how they play and everything. Like he's the main guy, and we were expecting that from people like Neymar, but obviously I don't. I think his time in PSG is over. I think he needs to start somewhere else. And I just think that the way they planned out how they were going to scout players and organize the team was just a bad plan from the beginning, and it's showing every year that whenever they get in competitions against teams that have quality in every area of the field, they just get exposed all the time.
Okay, Kelvin.
Yeah, I mean, uh, football has changed. Like, it's not more an individual game anymore. It's more like everybody has to play for each other on offense and defense, and PSG just don't have that. They're just a bunch of. It's like the three up front, and everybody else is doing the work, and then like it can't you, you can't win like that. Well, yes, they can run League One all they want, but like when it comes to like the trophy they actually want like that needs to change. They're just a team of individuals now, and that's just their problem. Really, just egos, drama, and just yeah, they need to do better, rebuild.
Okay, Cliff.
Yeah, I think the problem with PSG is that they really haven't played together that much. It was Mbappe left, and then it was just Messi, and it's just all over the place. And now, just when they face Bayern, is when Mbappe came back. You can't really get continuity continuity with just having players pop up left and right for God knows what reason. I think Mbappe was injured or something. I'm not really sure, but you have that, and I think overall with PSG, I feel like each of the Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe have different motivations. Mbappe, he wants to be the best. He wants to be the best right now. He's at PSG mainly because they just paid him so much money. He basically owns the club, and he was going to go to Real Madrid, but they just made him the owner. So he's there, and he's there to prove that he's the best player, which is can only be done when you win the Champions League. So he's trying hard. Um, it seems like Messi is kind of chilling at this point. He already won the World Cup. There's really nothing else to do, but he's trying to gel with Neymar and Mbappe, and also the midfield. The way it's working, he has to drop back so much, and it's hard to get that flow. And then Neymar, I'm not really sure what Neymar is on right now. I'm pretty sure he wants to win the Champions League, but sometimes it feels like he just I guess he's having more fun playing with Messi and just kind of wants to enjoy playing with Messi rather than anything. But it just seems like everybody else just has their head elsewhere, and they're not focused on making the team better and playing better as a team. It's just the team of individuals in the front.
So, where do you guys see the rebuilding phase for PSG? Because from what it seems to me, it seems like it's imminent. Seems like eventually Mbappe is going to leave. After Mbappe leaves, Messi's gone, and I don't know how long Neymar is going to stay there. So when
Messi's looking to leave too. It looks like, I mean, there's some reports that his father went to Barcelona, and he might come back to Barcelona, and he hasn't really renewed the contract with PSG for next year. He might go to MLS. So there's also some swirlings there too. So you never know. I think it would be smart for them to get rid of Messi first because he's the oldest. But Neymar isn't really doing anything for them too. But we all know that Mbappe is going to leave as soon as he gets the chance. So if anything, I think Neymar is their best bet to keep. But everybody wants to keep Mbappe. So it's kind of like you might look in the next 2 years and see all three of them are gone, and you have to start with a new young talent.
Yeah, I think they're gonna get rid of Neymar because they already tried to get rid of him last summer. Um, and we can see on the field he's not really producing um, anything. Honestly, I think he was one of the worst players on the field. Messi didn't do much in that game either. Um, Messi's 35 though, so like Messi, I'll give him a pass because I think for him, players like Messi, he needs a team that's gonna work for him. Like the PSG system could work if it wasn't three players that don't defend. You know, if it's just one player, I think it could work. But if it's three players, it's not gonna. We saw Messi at the World Cup. Messi did not run more than probably 5 miles in any game. He didn't run probably more than a full field sprint in any game that he played, but they won, and he was the best player in the tournament because he needs players to work for him. When you look at players like Neymar, he's 31. He should be just exiting his prime or still in his prime, and he's not producing anything near to what the Messis and Ronaldos were even producing at that age. So I think they're definitely going to get rid of Neymar, and I think that Messi's going to leave as a result of that because they're buddies or whatever. So I think Messi's going to leave after they get rid of Neymar, and then Mbappe. I think they can rebuild with him, even though he's going to leave eventually. I think they can rebuild with him for maybe 2 or 3 years, and then try to see what they do in the Champions League before he goes to Real Madrid.
When does his contract up?
I think 2025.
Yeah, and it wasn't too long. It wasn't a. It wasn't.
Yeah, I think it's like a 2-year one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they was begging that man.
But having said all that, I don't be shocked if they still find a way to beat Bayern. It's only 1-0.
Yeah. I mean, by a miracle, maybe, but I don't know.
I would want to see that though.
Mbappe could go off. Never know.
Mbappe could, and that's the thing though. It's gonna always come back to Mbappe though.
Yeah.
Like he changed the game in like 15 minutes.
So yeah, but they still need to rebuild, regardless of
So
even if they win it.
So would you rebuild?
They should still rebuild.
Would you rebuild with Mbappe, knowing that he's going to leave in the next 2 years?
No,
I would.
Actually, on the contrary, I actually think the Luis Campos guy actually came in, and he's the one. He's gonna have a bad image at the end of the day from the fans and stuff like that, but he's a guy actually they brought in to take that heat away from the dirty work that the board really has to do. I promise you, he's gonna be the one that orchestrates Neymar leaving, Messi leaving, and possibly Mbappe probably end up leaving too, because at some point that is going to have to happen, and you could kind of see a future direction that PSG is going towards, especially when you see that they bring in young players. They're starting to try to integrate their academy into the first team. They're going out there and buying other French players like TK, I believe that's his name. Like pretty much trying to buy young so that in the future, they can have something to say that they're homegrown players. So I think their structure and how they want to develop the team is changing. And obviously, out with the old and with the new. And yeah, Neymar is going to be the first exodus to leave the club for sure. And then Messi will follow suit. And then Mbappe will follow after that. And then at that point, they're just PSG. They are just PSG. I actually don't really see anybody in the future of prominence going to that club apart from money, apart from, just trying to stat pad the rest of their career. Because truthfully, that project to Neymar was only viable because he was basically their Mbappe now at that time. When Neymar came in, he was promised, you got all the keys to the team. We're going to buy you a new Ferrari, a new house. You're going to move all your family from Brazil to France. You're going to love it. You're going to know the president of France. You're going to get to pick who you want to play with and all that. They sold that brother a dream and a half. And at the end of the day, it didn't work out. But I think now they realize they can't keep going in that nature. And obviously, once you sign basically the best player of all time and you put him next to, one of our generation's top 10 players of all time, next to another prodigy and Mbappe and future top 10 player of all time, I don't really know what else you can do. You got to just wrap it up at that point. PSG is just going to be Paris FC, and they're not going to be champions of nothing but France.
Yeah, that's the way it seemed like it's going. But let's get into the next topic, and this will be the battle of the Ronaldos. In their prime, who are you picking? Cristiano Ronaldo or Brazilian Ronaldo? We'll let Kelvin start first.
You mute.
R9 for me. At their best, like top, no injuries. R9. He was just a monster, an animal. If you ask a lot of the great legends, ask Zidane, all of them, that's their guy. So yeah, that's what I'm sticking by.
Okay.
The original.
Okay, Cliff.
Yeah, going basically only off of playing style, only off of what I can see with my eyes. I'm gonna have to pick R9 because he was just on a different level. He was unplayable. And sure, you can look at the stats, so you can say Ronaldo scored more goals, more assists, whatever. I like that. I get that. But if I'm adding somebody to my team, I like to watch them perform like a all-time great. And I mean Ronaldo's CR7 is all-time great as well, but R9 was just on a different level at his peak. So yeah, R9.
All right, Sam.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. If we're talking about at the prime of their careers, I think R9 probably is the best player of all time at his absolute peak. He was unplayable. He was unstoppable. He could do everything that Ronaldo and Messi could do in one player. Um, and Cristiano is a great player as well, but I think he's more of a longevity performer. Like over his career, for sure, he's been more successful, obviously due to R9's injuries. But at the prime of their careers, at the prime of their play, it's going to be R9 for me. He just did things that were just like out of the world. Like you wouldn't imagine like somebody could do what he used to do. So I'm gonna go R9.
Okay.
Yeah. If the question is at their prime, you have to give it to R9, because he did it first. A lot of people like to do the whole Michael Jordan versus LeBron thing, and it's kind of similar to this. It's not necessarily saying R9 had that impact to Michael Jordan's degree, but I would say R9 did it first in terms of like just being that player that really shocked the world with just his ability to not be stopped. Like he'll take the ball, you would be screaming Ronaldo, Ronaldo, Ronaldo all the way till he scores the goal past the goalie. So at their prime, even though it's closer than I think a lot of people are making it out to seem, because if we're looking at prime to primes, they both won Ballon d'Ors that year. They both were scoring and assisting that year. They both won major trophies that year. So it's closer to what people think, but then obviously R9's style, the Brazilian style, the flair, yeah, it just edges Ronaldo for me. So at their prime, I would give it to Brazilian Ronaldo, but overall, it might be a whole different question.
Just one more thing, like R9 was like a superstar at like the age of like 18, 19. Like he was one of the best in the world at that age, which is just wild to me. But
Yeah, I think he's the youngest winner of the Ballon d'Or.
yeah, which is crazy. But
Was he not also the first the first non-European? I believe. I believe
Not
R9
sure.
was the first non-European. I gotta check that, but I think R9 was also the first non-European.
That's that's cool. That's cool. That's why I say he did it first. I'm not knocking that. Yeah, I'm not knocking that at all. I mean, I don't know what specific age Ronaldo was, but he's definitely older than like a 19, 20, 21. I would say the R9, I would say his peak was between 20 and 21. He had super hype when he was 18, 19, but 2021, that's when we basically was seeing a grown man out there and a 21-year-old body just straight up cooking the field. So yeah, it's not too far in terms of when you're comparing both of their peaks, because like I just listed it out there. But R9 did it first, and you look at his style of play, it's mesmerizing. It's everything you really want to see in terms of football. So can't really argue that.
Yeah.
All right, so,
Also did it in the World Cup too.
He
You can't ignore that. I mean, he literally,
also-
I think he scored 9 goals in the 2002 World Cup.
he also
Basically put Brazil on his back and racing to find nah, bro. His peak.
Cooking Germany,
he
telling
also
them he's gonna score and score. Yeah,
he also
And
played,
that was after he came back from ACL.
and, yeah,
he also played in the best Brazil team of all time.
and he was the best player on the best Brazilian team of all time.
That's good, but he also played. That's good. That's good. That's good. But it helps when literally every 10 other players on there are basically Hall of Famers. I don't really know why that was mentioned. Look at I really don't understand how that was mentioned. You look at that Brazil team, you look at the Portugal teams of the different years. When you look at that collective age range, when Ronaldo was that age or whatever, and you look at what Brazil Ronaldo had at his disposal, yeah, it's completely different, bro. That was the best Brazil team of all time. They were supposed to go out there and score that many goals. We're talking about.
I mean, it's not really an argument. Like the answer is R9. Like, it's not really an argument. Like
we're talking about arguably
that
the
warrants
best.
no response. Like
I'm
the
just
answer
saying.
is
I'm just
R9.
saying. We're talking about arguably the best right back of all time. Arguably the best left back of all time. Arguably the best wingers of all time. Arguably the best striker of all time. He played on the best Brazilian team of all time, bro. Come on now.
Toby, what's your final answer?
Ronaldo in the final to win
I
it.
already gave my final answer.
What is it?
I already said it's R9.
All right, that's it. Let's move on. Like, what's all this? He did this, and that. Like,
You the one that brought up Brazil. That's why I said I don't understand why it was mentioned.
let's move on to our last topic, and this will be who are the top 3 African players of all time. We'll let Sam start first.
I'm gonna give it to this is kind of tough. I'm gonna give it to Eto first as the best African player of all time. He has 4 African Player of the Year awards, and then he won 2 AFCON titles, and then I think he's the only player to win 2 trebles with 2 different teams as well at club level. So, yeah, it's gonna be Eto number 1 for me. Number 2, I'm gonna give it to Yaya Toure, because he also has 4 African Player of the Year awards. He has a Champions League with Barcelona, and he's won an AFCON as well. So I'm gonna give him 2. Number 3 is where it gets tricky. I'm gonna give it to I'm gonna say Drogba. I'm gonna say Drogba because Drogba, he's won everything there is to win, and he just has so many big moments and clutch moments in history. I think I would give it to Drogba. Like when he was in his prime on form, probably the best striker in the world. So Drogba number 3 for me.
All right, Kelvin.
Number 1 for me, my guy, George Weah. That's number 1 for me. Number 2, Samuel Eto'o. Number 3 is a little bit tricky because it could go to a lot of spots. We have Asamoah Gyan.
Okay.
I mean, most goals by an African player in the World Cup. Like, how's that funny? You know what I'm saying? Yes, he missed that penalty, but like, let's not act like he's a bum or like a scrub or something. Like he's up there. But I'll have to go with my guy, Abedi Ayew Pele, for number 3 for me.
Okay. Cliff.
Yeah, number 1, I'd say the best African player is Samuel Eto'o. Say number 2 is Drogba. Number 3, I feel like is the tricky one. Number 3, I think is gonna have to go between. It can go to George Weah. It can go to Yaya Toure. I think Salah's up there too. Salah and Mane are up there too. But if I had to pick one, so if I had to pick one, I'd just go with George Weah because he's the only one to win the Ballon d'Or, and there's no other African player that's done it. So I go with George Weah as number 3.
Okay, Toby.
Yeah, without a doubt, the number one best African player that actually represents the African country is Samuel Eto'o. Absolutely. The guy is the only, with him and Yaya Toure are the only people that have it 4 times in terms of African Player of the Year. He's also won 2 Champions League with 2 different teams. He's literally won the treble with 2 different teams. That's ridiculous. He has the most goals in the AFCON competition of all time. Like, and then on top of that, you look at the longevity and the fact that he's done it in different leagues. It just speaks volumes to how much he's able to accomplish. And he's always been one of those stars that we've been like, oh, he's going to be good. Ever since he started at, I don't know, or some lower club,
Was
or
it?
what, some lower Spanish league side club, then moved to
Mallorca?
Real Mallorca, then moved to Real Madrid, and then after that, got his chance where he needed to be at Barcelona. So it's like throughout the years, he's just been that guy. Number 2, I would have to give it to Yaya Toure. Respectfully, put some respect on that brother's name. He's won the AFCON 4 years in a row with a Drogba there. So I don't even want to hear Drogba. So 4 years in a row as well. He's won the league title. He's won a Champions League. He's done it in 2 big-time squads and 2 big-time leagues. He's won FA Cup. He's won Club World Cup. He's won everything that needed to be won. And yeah, he's just impactful in terms of his play. One of the best midfielders we've ever seen as well. So number 2 is for me is Yaya Toure. Number 3, for me, number 3 was actually between George Weah, Salah, and then Drogba. But I'll give it to George Weah simply because at his prime, he won the Ballon d'Or. Like, he was one of those players that were unplayable in terms of at his prime. He's also won, I believe he's also won the Italian championship twice. So he's an Italian champion. He's a French champion as well. So his longevity might not be as good as the others, but the mere fact that he's won a Ballon d'Or and at his prime, there's no way you cannot put him on the list. I have to put him as 3. And like I said, I don't want to hear Drogba in this conversation because it's cool to put him there because he's a prem, but I actually think he should be fighting with the likes of the Salahs and Manes. If you look at the consistency, if you look at what they've won, what they've accomplished, yeah, Salah is up there, and he actually has a more arguable fight than I believe he has more of an arguable fight than Drogba. He's has golden boots. He's won the Champions League, won the Club World Cup, taken I think Egypt to the AFCON final a couple times.
Where they lost to Mane. Keep going though.
Cool. That's cool. I don't get it. With an Egyptian side, okay. And then you look at also he's won African Player of the Year as well. So yeah. He's also won the Champions League as well. He's also been top scorer in Champions League as well. So yeah, I think if anything, Drogba should be fighting with him. Who should get 4th?
I think the only reason I put Drogba up there is because, from my knowledge, Drogba has more longevity, and I think Salah was a bit more of a late bloomer than He came on a little bit late in his career, around his late 20s, and I think Drogba has been doing it since he got to Chelsea, and he's been a big game player. You know,
Yeah, he's been a big game.
Drugs, he's a big game player, but his numbers aren't that.
yeah,
They're actually not really that
but not too impressive.
impressive.
Not the,
Yeah, they're not that impressive.
I'm not even gonna do it today with the
It's
stat
true.
thing.
His
So
numbers
if I
are.
mention Dennis Bergkamp right now, it's gonna be all.
He's a big game player. He is a big game player, but his numbers aren't that impressive. He's a big game player. Yes, he's won y'all games at crucial times, but Salah has done that for Liverpool as well. Like I said, he's been their top scorer in the Champions League, I think, probably the last 2 or 3 years. So, yeah, there's no way you can say Salah's not a big game player either.
Yeah, for me, the reason why I didn't put Salah or Mane because they have very similar track records and accomplishments since they played on Liverpool together. They have all the same titles, basically. But I mean, basically the only differences between them is that Mane beat Salah in the AFCON title.
And Golden Boots.
Yeah, and then you
And
look
Player
at Player of the Years, African Player of the Year. They both have 2 of them. So I mean, that's the same on there. So like for me, Mane and Salah is kind of similar. So I just push them to the side because you really be like kind of splitting hairs if you're gonna choose one of those. But I think Drogba for longevity, for big moments, and he's won everything there is to win. I think he's definitely in the top 3 for sure.
I mean,
Is it?
as a Chelsea fan, I'm not really mad at either or. They're both great players for great accomplishments. I would choose Drogba, but I'm not gonna fight over Drogba over Salah because
we know who's better. We know who's better, bro.
Were there any African players that you guys would want to give a shout to that weren't in the list?
Kanu Nwako.
Yeah. I say Kanu. I say Kanu for sure. He's one of the best African players that have touched the Prem for sure. At his heights, he was one of the premier strikers that we had. Then obviously, Mr. Twinkle-Feet, JJ Okocha, the best African dribbler of all time, easily. The only unfortunate thing for that brother is that he never played at his heights, especially when he came into the Prem. He decided to sign for Bolton. And yeah, we would have to catch that brother doing tricks on BoltonTV.com. So in terms of his career, in terms of being able to be on the highest platform to really showcase what he can do day in, day out, I don't think it never worked out for him. If he would have played at a bigger club, he definitely would have got a lot more hype and, recognition for how good of a player he is, because he's definitely up there in terms of ability.
I would just like to give a shout out to Michael Lacian. Just injuries messed him up, but yeah, he could have been one of the greatest CDMs.
He's up there.
Just injuries,
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
From my list, I would agree with Kelvin that Bede Pele. He was definitely a great player. I think he's the greatest Ghanaian player of all time. Yeah, he was impressive in his days.
No, you remember this one guy played for Chelsea? John Obi Mikel. They said that boy was better than Ronaldo. when they first recruited him.
When he was younger, he was tough.
There are stories about him being recruited for, I think, Manchester United. Ronaldo.
He was an attacking mid.
Yeah, John Obi Mikel was the truth. He was tough. He was tough. He's a staple African. The thing he doesn't get recognition for, again, because he does the dirty work. You're not gonna get recognition. Look at Højbjerg at Spurs. He does a lot of the dirty work on that team, but he doesn't necessarily get the recognition like a Son or Kane or whatever the case may be. But if you took him out of the club or that team, that setup, it wouldn't even look the same. And I feel like for Jose Mourinho's teams, especially, John Obi Mikel, he came in there, he did the job, and he's the only person that really did that job well, the way that Jose Mourinho wanted him to do. When the
That's
game,
I'm sorry.
it's true. When the game was there, when the
No.
game was
Okay, go.
when the game was there to be defended, when the game was there to be closed off, he'll come in and call John Obi Mikel to come do the dirty work. Notice I'm referring to dirty work, and that's who he called to do every time. So if you want to dispute that, that's on you. But that's what I know. Like,
What I was saying, Cap on was you said he was the only one that could do the job in midfield.
he was the only one that was
Which is
that
Cap.
was hot. He was the
Because he
only
wasn't
one.
the only one. Like he wasn't Chelsea's best midfielder.
Did I say that? Did I say that?
Nah, but
Like, did I
but you
say
did
that?
say he was the only one that could do the job for Jose Mourinho.
The nasty work.
What does that imply?
The nasty work that I'm describing. He was the one that could do the nasty job that they needed to come in, close out the game. Who did they call? Was it? I don't understand. Who else did they call?
Again,
They had Makelele too, bro. Like let's not sleep on the midfielders Chelsea had at that time.
Again, all I'm saying is I was calling Cap on him being the only one that could do the job for Jose Mourinho, which is Cap.
I clarified.
The only one.
I clarified for you that he
And
was
then I
the
let it go.
do the nasty
But you
job.
keep going back.
It's okay, bro.
You clarified, and I pointed out the part I called Cap on, and that would have been that. That's it.
Okay, bro.
But you keep going on. That's it.
Okay, bro.
All right, so that's going to do it for us today. I want to give many thanks to the viewers and the crew for their input today. Please drop us a follow on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter under the name The Offside Zone. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. We discuss new topics every week. In the comments, please let us know you guys' top African player of all time. As always, please stay safe, stay blessed, and see you guys in the next video.